On behalf of Indira Gandhi National Open University, I welcome you for this video lecture session. Today's topic is second law of thermodynamics. This is the 11th module of the course Thermodynamics and its applications. I am Shubhashish Maji, professor in mechanical engineering in School of Engineering and Technology of Indira Gandhi National Open University. Today's topic is second law of thermodynamics. As we have discussed the first law of thermodynamics in detail, there we have seen how to derive the expressions for the conservation of mass and the conservation of energy, because first law of thermodynamics is nothing but it tells about the conservation of energy. But today we are discussing the second law of thermodynamics. First of all, we would like to discuss why second law of thermodynamics, why it is not sufficient for using only the first law of thermodynamics for analyzing any thermodynamic process. After listening to this video lecture, you will be able to understand the concept of second law of thermodynamics. You will be able to explain the increasing disorder by heat transfer. You will be able to describe the entropy and the second law for an isolated system, and you will be able to appreciate the entropy generations in an isolated system. The laws of thermodynamics represent the summary and essence of our experience with nature, while the zeroth law provides the basis of measurement of temperature. The first and second laws serve to define the two properties, energy and entropy, and deal with the conservation of energy and degradation of energy. The first law of thermodynamics is one of the most important physical laws with several significant engineering applications. The first law of thermodynamics states that a certain energy balance will hold when a system undergoes a change of state or a thermodynamic process. This law is alternatively termed as law of conservation of energy, but it does not give any information on whether that change of state or the process is feasible at all or not. It is the second law of thermodynamics which provides the criterion for the probability of occurring of various processes. In our last classes or video lectures, we have discussed in detail how to derive the expressions for energy equations for first law of thermodynamics, how to write down the expressions for the conservation of mass principles, and now you will see that how we can proceed for the second law of thermodynamics, which gives a new property, that is entropy. The first law of thermodynamics describes the conservation principle, like conservation of mass and conservation of energy. It doesn't specify the direction of the process. Both conservation statements directly relate the change of system property to transfer at a boundary. It is the second law of thermodynamics which provides the criterion as to the probability of various processes. Let us analyze two examples to demonstrate the inability of the first law of thermodynamics and the conservation of mass statement to completely describe systems. Let us analyze two examples to demonstrate the inability of the first law of thermodynamics and the conservation of mass statement to completely describe a system. The figure represents an isolated chamber with steam on one side of the partition and a vacuum on the other side. This is the initial state of the system. We call it state 1. The partition has been removed. The final state is denoted as state 2. Now you see that in state 1 we have considered an isolated system and consists of two subsystems. One is steam that is contained in the half portions of the chamber having a partition, and the other side of the steam is completely vacuum. Now this is the state 1 of the system. Now suddenly the partition you are removing. What will happen? There will be expansion for the steam because you have removed the partition, and the whole volume will be completely filled by the steam. So this procedure is feasible, and let us see what should be the energy equations and the mass conservation of mass principles equations for this system. From conservation of mass, M1 is equal to M2. Obviously, initially the steam was confined in the half portion of the chamber and a partition was there. On the other side of the partition there was completely vacuum, and when you remove the partition the steam will completely fill the whole volume, but the mass M2 will be same as mass M1 because the complete system is an isolated system, and we all know that in the isolated system there is no heat transfer in between systems and boundary. There will be no work transfer in between the system and the boundary, and there is no heat transfer. So from conservation of energy, the U2 minus U1, that is the change in internal energy, is equal to 1 Q2 minus 1 W2. But since it is an isolated system, the net heat input and net work inputs both are 0. So U2 minus U1 is equal to 0. That is the final internal energy will be equal to the initial internal energy. The conservation of mass as well as the conservation of energy satisfied and indicated that it is a constant mass and constant internal energy process, and this process is feasible. Now let us see another case. So here we have taken a case. Of course this process is impossible, but let us discuss the case where initially we are taking a chamber which is completely filled with steam, and we are giving sufficient time so that the steam will be confined in the half portion of the chamber and other side will be vacuum. So in this figure 2, the steam completely fills the chamber in its initial state 1. The system transforms itself into two subsystems with steam residing in one half of the chamber and a perfect vacuum in the other half. A partition is inserted and this final state is state 2. Now let us apply the expressions for the conservation of mass and the expressions for the conservation of energy in this case. But again, we must remember that this case is not at all feasible. But let us see what equations we are getting with regard to the conservation of mass and the conservation of energy. From conservation of mass, m1 is equal to m2 because no mass is going out from the isolated system to the surroundings, so m1 has to be equal to m2. And from the energy, from the conservation of energy, that is E1 minus U2 is equal to 1, Q2 minus 1 W2 is equal to 0. So E1 is equal to U2. The same equations we have already derived for the previous process. The conservation of mass as well as the conservation of energy satisfied and indicated that it is a constant mass and constant internal energy process. But this process is impossible. But this process satisfies both the equations with regard to the conservation of mass principle as well as the conservation of energy principle. But this process is absolutely impossible. It cannot be. Now let us see that this process satisfies both the equations for with regard to the first law of thermodynamics, but what is there? What is missing here? And here the second law of thermodynamics will play a vital role that gives the directions of the process. But from our experience, the process in figure 2 is impossible. Just now we have discussed that it is an impossible process to rearrange the steam in one half of the chamber. The partition is to be inserted after that. It is impossible process. The inability of the first law and conservation of mass to explain this impossibility indicates the need for another fundamental law, and that is nothing but the second law of thermodynamics. It gives the direction of the process and it introduces a new property. We call it entropy, which gives the randomness, disorderness or uncertainty of a process. Now let us discuss another example, and we will see that for the processes which we will discuss, both the conservation of mass principle as well as conservation of energy will agree. But one process is feasible and the other process will not at all feasible. Figure 3 shows an isolated system containing two blocks of material indicated as A and B. The block A is at a higher temperature TH and block B is at a lower temperature TL. They are initially brought together and isolated from surroundings as indicated by state 1. Now heat will transfer from block A to block B until both the blocks are at thermal equilibrium. The final state is denoted as state 2. So dear learners, I am explaining again that we are considering an isolated system composed of two subsystems A and B. So the temperature of the block A, that is subsystem A, is TH, that is higher than the temperature of the subsystem B, that is block B, whose temperature is TL. So TH is greater than TL. So when they are brought together, this condition is known as state 1. Now what will happen? Even though they are within the isolated system, both the two blocks are forming an isolated system. There will be no heat transfer from system to the surroundings. There will be no work transfer from system to the surroundings, and we will see what is happening inside the isolated system. Since the temperature of the body A is higher than the temperature of body B, so there will be heat transfer from the block A to block B, because we know that heat transfer is always possible if there is a temperature difference and there is a communication. So heat transfer will take place from block A to block B. Now, if you give sufficient time, then what will happen? The temperature of block A will be becoming less and temperature of block B will rise, because there will be heat transfer from block A to block B. So they will settle at an equilibrium temperature, and we call it the equilibrium temperature is T. So both the blocks will be having same temperature, that is T. But T is less than TH but greater than TL, because there will be heat loss from block A and there will be heat gain for block B. So the temperature of block A will be lower than TH, and the temperature of block B will be higher than its initial temperature, that is TL. So if the final equilibrium temperature is T, so that temperature T will be less than TH but obviously greater than TL. Now let us see if we write down the expression for the conservation of mass as well as the conservation of energy from the first law of thermodynamics principle. The statement for the conservation of mass and conservation of energy. From conservation of mass, the total mass at state 1 is MA1, that is the mass for block A, plus MB1, that is the mass for block B, is equal to the MA2, that is the mass for block A at state 1, plus MB2, that is the mass for block B at state 2. From conservation of energy, we can write as UA2 plus UB2, that is the total internal energy at state 2 for both the blocks minus initial internal energy for both the blocks, that is UA1 plus UB1, is equal to 1 Q2 minus 1 W2. But we have considered the total system is isolated system, and we know very well that for an isolated system there is no heat transfer, there is no work transfer, and obviously there is no mass transfer also. But 1 Q2 and 1 W2 will be equal to 0. So finally we will get that the total internal energy at state 1 will be equal to the total internal energy at the state 2. So the conservation of mass as well as the conservation of energy satisfied and indicated that it is a constant mass and constant internal energy processes. So this process is feasible, and it is obeying the first law of thermodynamics, that is conservation of energy principle as well as the conservation of mass principle. Now let us discuss another process which is not at all feasible, but let us see that even it is not feasible, but it will obey the first law of thermodynamics. In figure 4, the two blocks are initially brought at the same temperature, and the final state results when block A is at the higher temperature TH and the block B is at the low temperature T1. Dear learners, I am again stating the figure 4 that at state 1 both the blocks are having same temperature. That means both of the blocks are thermally equilibrium. But the block A and block B are forming an isolated system. So this isolated system is composed of two blocks. Now we are giving sufficient time so that the block A will be having temperature TH and the block B will be having temperature TL. So, but this process is not possible. But let us see what we get by applying the first law of thermodynamics for this impossible process also. The statement for conservation of mass and conservation of energy. For conservation of mass, at state 1, that is initial mass for block A and block B, that is MA1 plus MB1 is equal to MA2 plus MB2, that is equal to M1 is equal to M2. That is net mass at state 1 will be equal to the net mass at state 2, that is M2. So M1 is equal to M2. From conservation of energy, we can write as UA2 plus UB2 minus UA1 plus UB1 is equal to 1Q2 minus 1W2 equal to 0. Why? Because since the whole system comprising of block A and block B forming an isolated system, and there is no heat transfer, there is no work transfer, there is no mass transfer in between the system and the surroundings for an isolated system. So finally we are getting UA1 plus UB1, that is total internal energy at state 1 is equal to total internal energy for A2 for A and B at state 2, that is UA2 plus UB2. The conservation of mass as well as the conservation of energy satisfy and indicated that it is a constant mass and constant internal energy process. That means for this impossible process, it is following the conservation of mass principle as well as the conservation of energy principle. But from our experience, the process in figure 4 is impossible. The inability of the first law and conservation of mass to explain this impossibility indicates the need for another fundamental law. So here the second law of thermodynamics and a very important property, that is entropy, will be introduced so that this process can be explained without any difficulty. Now let us discuss about the increasing disorder by heat transfer. So here we are considering two blocks, that is an isolated system, block A having temperature TH and the block B having temperature TL. But in this case, the block A is considered as control mass A and block B is considered as control mass B. Now the two blocks are in contact and forming an isolated system together. What will happen? There will be heat transfer in between the two blocks. That means heat will be transferred from block A to block B. So there will be heat loss for block A and there will be heat gained by the block B, and in turn the temperature of block A will reduce and the temperature of block B will increase. Now here you see that if you give sufficient time to allow heat transfer in between block A and B, So they will be in thermal equilibrium at a particular temperature T for both for block A and block B. Now in this case you see what is happening, that there will be heat transfer from block A to block B. So the block A previously, because of high temperature, it was disordered, and when its temperature decreases, so it will be more ordered. So here the entropy or disorderness, randomness, uncertainty will decrease, but for block B, since its temperature increasing, so what's happening for the block B, its randomness, uncertainty and disorderness will increase. For control mass A, the process starts from a high temperature initial state and ends at a lower temperature final state as a result of heat transfer from control mass A to block B. Physically, block A proceeds from a high temperature or less organized state to a low temperature or more organized state. This process or organize of block A is a result of heat lost from this control mass. A heat loss from the control mass is consistent with decrease in the randomness of block A, whereas control mass B receives the heat transfer from block A, and this interpreted as positive disorganized heat transfer. So in general we can say that for block A, initially it was more randomness, more disorderness and more uncertainty was there because of high temperature. So when there is a heat loss, so it will be more organized, it will be more ordered and it will be less uncertainty. But for block B, since the temperature is increasing, it will be the randomness will increase, the uncertainty will increase, the disorderness will increase. So heat transfer plays a very important role for changing the randomness, disorderness or uncertainty. When we supply heat or when a body receives heat, its randomness, its disorderness or its uncertainty will increase if we supply heat. If there is a heat loss, then definitely it will be more organized, more randomness will decrease. Now the second law of thermodynamics, the connection between heat transfer and uncertainty property which shows the directionality of a process is the second law of thermodynamics. The property that describes the randomness or uncertainty is called entropy. Entropy and the second law of thermodynamics, the microscopic disorder of a system is prescribed by a system property called entropy. The entropy is an extensive equilibrium property, must always increase or remains constant for an isolated system. So mathematically it can be expressed as ds isolated is greater than or equal to 0, or ds isolated means S final, entropy final minus entropy initial for an isolated system is greater than or equal to 0. Now you see that we have discussed two very important examples initially. So why the second process for both the cases were not at all possible? Because the first process, it was more ordered, randomness was less, uncertainty was less. When they reached at a thermal equilibrium process, and in that case it was more stable, more organized and more less uncertainty. So entropy is an extensive property of the system. Any system composed of subsystems, we can write that S is equal to MA/SA plus MB/SB plus and so on for all the particles in that system is equal to summation of Mi/Si. So entropy is a extensive property. It can be composed of several subsystems. So sum of the total entropy for all subsystems will be equal to the total entropy for the whole system. So we can write in the summation form, that is S is equal to summation of Mi/Si. So the second law expressed as an integral over all the elements of an isolated system. So ds isolated is equal to d, and s we can write in integral of s dm. That dm is a small mass, for that entropy is s. So s dm is the entropy for the small mass. If you integrate over m, you will get the total entropy is equal to d of here you see that dm is equal to mass. Dm is a small mass that we can write in terms of density and volume. So rho into dV. So this is another expression for ds isolated is equal to greater than or equal to 0. Now we are introducing a term that is entropy generations. So if del S generate, Z is the entropy generations. So ds minus entropy generations for an isolated system is 0. It is nothing but how much change in entropy, that is ds. That is nothing but the entropy generation. So ds minus entropy generation has to be finally equal to 0. So what is ds? That is final entropy minus S gen, that is entropy generation, minus initial entropy will be equal to 0. So here S gen is the entropy generated during a change in system state and is always positive or 0. So dear learners, you see that initially we have discussed that there were two blocks having different temperatures. They are brought together, and after that the heat transfer will be allowed. Finally we will get the common temperature when they will attain the thermal equilibrium. So initially it was more organized because both the blocks are having different temperature and more organized. So when they will be in thermal equilibrium, so they will reach at a disorganized state. So for any system there is a tendency from organized state to disorganized. So the first example we have taken that we have taken an isolated system, and in that isolated system there is a partition. Initially on one side of the partition it was completely filled with steam, and the other side of the partition it is totally vacuum. Now this is a more organized state, and because if you want to find out a molecule of steam, then you have to search on the half portion of the chamber. Now when you remove the partition, the gas will fill in the entire volume. So but entropy, more disordered system will be more disordered, more randomness, and entropy will increase. So in that case also the system will be transformed from organized state to disorganized state. So that is the process for most of the thermodynamic systems, and we have introduced the second law of thermodynamics to you. We have introduced the very important property, that is entropy, that comes out from the second law of thermodynamics. So the second law is also expressed on a rate basis by considering the time interval dt. That law is that ds by dt is the rate of change of entropy for an isolated system, and ds you know very well that we write that d dt of capital S, that is rho S dV, and that always equal to or greater than or equal to 0, and ds by dt minus S dot gen is equal to 0, where the overdot on S gen indicate the rate of entropy generation. Let us quickly summarize our discussions. We have discussed today the concept of second law of thermodynamics. We have discussed the increasing disorder by heat transfer. We have discussed the entropy and the second law for an isolated system, and we have also discussed the entropy generation in an isolated system. So we are finishing our discussions today. So in the next class also we will come out more about the topic, that is second law of thermodynamics, and the very important property, that is entropy. Thank you very much.